Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another pour of a Grit on the Rocks podcast, where the glasses stay full, the conversations, you know how we do, they cut deep. Today, we're going to talk about something that every person with a dream, hustle, or an idea has felt in their bones at one time or another.
This podcast is a Buenos Dias Media production.
This is the Grit on the Rocks podcast, where raw conversations meet smooth sips. Pull up a chair, pour your favorite drink, puff on your favorite cigar, and join us as we dive into the convos that matter. No scripts, no barriers, just unfiltered truth served straight up. Cheers to the real ones out there. Salud.
Think about it. Why is it that strangers, they'll line up to clap for you, while the people that are closest to you just sit there with their arms crossed? Why will folks that you've never met buy your product or your service? They'll share your work and they believe in your idea. While sadly, most friends and family act like you just told them you were joining the circus. And those within your circle, sometimes, some of these people will comment and compliment on your talent and your services as long as they can benefit from it for free. And that is until you put your foot down and remind them that building a business is about making money, right? We all go into business and we're in the business of making money, not losing. And definitely we're not about stopping our dream to build someone else's dream. That's not how it works. So if you've ever felt that sting, that, damn, why won't they support me? Pull up a chair, my friends, because today we're pouring the truth straight, no chaser.
The views and opinions expressed by the host, guest, and/or participants of this show do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Buenos Dias Media LLC, its associates, partners, and show sponsors. The content is intended for entertainment purposes and should not be construed as professional advice. Listener discretion is advised.
So let's start by talking about the ugly truth. Let's start with the ugly truth. You know, most people around you, they don't believe in you because they know you. They remember when you were broke, when you were slacking, when you were just Mark from down the block, or Lisa, the one who couldn't even pass algebra. You see, strangers only see the finish pitch, right? The final reel, right? Or they don't see the behind the scenes. They see the finished product. They don't know your failures, your embarrassing middle school haircut, or the fact that you once quit a job because you overslept 3 days in a row. Your people do. Those around you do. And because of that, they can't separate who you were from who you're becoming. In most cases, right? Most, because I don't like throwing that blanket statement of every case or everyone, but in most cases, it's not hate, it's laziness. It's easier for them to cheer for Beyonce than to cheer for Becky, who grew up next door. But here's the lesson. If you're waiting for validation from your circle, you'll be waiting forever. The ones who doubt you are giving you a gift, and that is the gift of clarity. When you start a business, launch a podcast, drop a book, or chase any dream, you expect the people closest to you to be your biggest cheerleaders. You expect your boy from high school to repost your flyer. You expect your cousin to show up to your event or your best friend to buy your t-shirt you're trying to sell. But instead, you get crickets, silence. You might even get jokes. Meanwhile, some random dude in Idaho who doesn't know you from Adam is out here commenting on your posts, reposting your content, and they'll put comments or reviews on your podcast and say things like, "Bro, this is fire." And you sit there thinking, how is it that strangers love me harder than the people who actually know me? Let me tell you, if you're feeling that right now, you're not crazy. You're not being petty. You're just experiencing one of life's rawest lessons. Support rarely comes from where you expect it. And that is just a fact. It's just the truth. And again, it's not a blanket statement where we say everyone, because we do have those who are cheerleaders within our circle. But in most cases, that's not the case. You ever notice how someone online they'll share your post and buy your product? They'll show up to your event faster than your own family. But that's because strangers judge your value, not your history. Strangers aren't jealous of your growth. They're inspired by it. They're not threatened by your change. They're attracted to it. Your boy from high school might still think of you as, the guy who spilled jungle juice on himself at the party. The stranger in another state, he sees a sharp, disciplined man or woman building something real. So don't be mad that strangers clap louder. Be grateful, because they're proof that your vision is resonating beyond the bubble of your friends and family discounts. And here's why. Familiarity breeds blindness. Right? The people around you have seen every version of you. The awkward teenager, the broke college kid, the dude who made dumb mistakes. They still see you through the lens of who you were, not who you're becoming. So when you tell them, "I'm starting a business," they don't hear future CEO. They hear the same knucklehead who used to borrow gas money from me. And it's not that they hate you. It's not that they don't want you to succeed. It's that they can't wrap their head around the fact that you've outgrown the version of you they're most comfortable with. Meanwhile, strangers, they don't have that baggage. They meet you at your now. They see the polished product, the ambition, the drive. To them, you're not little cousin Tommy who used to eat all the Hot Pockets. You're a brand, a professional, a man on a mission, or a woman on a mission. And that fresh set of eyes, that's where your early support lives. All right, so let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with some whiskey bar wisdom, barstool banter, and more on why your circle doesn't support you and what to do about it. This is Grit on the Rocks podcast, a Buenos Dias media production.
Looking to connect with like-minded men who share your drive for success and passion for the finer things in life? Welcome to the Apex Gentlemen's Guild, a private members club for men who value ambition, camaraderie, giving back, and personal growth. For a limited time while we're fully remote, you can join the guild for free. Gain access to tons of motivational content, exclusive events, insightful discussions, and a network of high-performance individuals. Don't miss this chance to elevate your social circle. Request to join today at facebook.com/groups/Apex Gentlemen's Guild. Or give us a like at facebook.com/Apex Gentlemen's Guild. The Apex Gentlemen's Guild. Excellence forged in unity.
All right, and we're back. Grit on the Rocks podcast. And today we're talking about strangers, how strangers or why strangers support you more than friends and family. But before we jump into that, let's do some whiskey bar wisdom. Because today's whiskey bar wisdom is coming to you in a different way. I just want to share some wisdom with you guys today.
Whiskey bar wisdom.
All right, there's nothing magical about it. Here, drink this. Tell me what's on your mind. Come on.
Whiskey bar wisdom. You provide the stories, we provide the opinions, unprofessional advice and the laughter. Grit on the Rocks podcast.
Okay, so let me hit you with some whiskey bar wisdom today. And we're going to take it a little bit biblical here, because I want to drive my point across. There's a story about a prophet, right? Jesus himself. And when he went back to his hometown, people looked at him and said, wait, isn't that the carpenter's son? Isn't that Mary's boy? Who does he think he is? And the scripture says, a prophet without honor in his own home. A prophet is without honor in his own home. And this phrase appears in the New Testament not once, not twice, but 3 times. Specifically in Matthew 13:57, Mark 6:4, and Luke 4:24. See, the phrase, a prophet without honor in his own home, I keep saying it wrong. A prophet is without honor in his own home. It means that someone with great talent, wisdom, or authority is often not appreciated by those closest to them, especially those who knew them before their achievements. This idiom, originating from the Bible, highlights a common human tendency to undervalue those familiar to us. So the translation is, you could be spitting truth, breaking barriers, performing miracles, but the people closest to you will reduce to what they remember. So, if even the Son of God got side-eyed by his hometown, what makes you think your uncle's gonna buy your t-shirt? I mean, think about that. All right, so relax, people. It's not you. It's human nature. Okay, so now let's jump into why don't they support you, right? That's the question we all ask ourselves at one point or another when we're trying to build something. So let's break it down, plain and simple. Like I said before, familiarity breeds contempt. People are too close to your old self to see your new one. Some refuse to accept that you're trying to grow and would rather remind you of who you were. Jealousy whispers, right? It does. It whispers. See, your ambition reminds them of everything they're not doing. Supporting you means confronting their own excuses. Sadly, some people, they want to see you happy and doing well, but never better than them, right? Another one is comfort zone hate movers. Comfort zones hate movers. Your success forces people to ask, if he did it, why didn't I? See, it kills the whole narrative that I didn't do anything because of lack of opportunity or because it's because of where I come from. And these types of excuses that, people tend to use to remove themselves completely from the blame. But let me throw you a curveball. It's not their job to support you, my friends. I'm going to say that again. It's not their job. Your dream is yours. You can't outsource belief. You can't subcontract it. So here's where most men mess up, or women. They waste energy begging for support from people who ain't gonna give it. They post, y'all don't support me, but y'all support strangers. They complain. They guilt trip. Don't do that. That's weak energy. And listen, and I gotta keep it 100. I at one point fell into this. I fell into it completely, doing the same thing. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck this. There's no need. Instead, double down on the strangers. Build your tribe with the ones who see your value. Those strangers will turn into a real community for you. And guess what? Once you start winning, once the checks clear, once the stage lights hit you, suddenly those friends and family who didn't claim they always knew you had it in you. So let them. Don't get bitter. Get better. It's why you hear so many stories of artists. And I've never said this before, but it's usually the example that I use. When you see these artists and all of a sudden they forget, well, they seem to forget where they came from and they move away and they surround themselves with different people. And, some people say like, oh, they start hating on them. It's like, oh, it's that they forgot. They're too good for us now. But the truth is that many of these people were never supported by their community. So when they do make it big, why would they stay there? But anyway, it's another topic for another day. So sometimes the lack of support from your circle is the best thing for you because it forces you to sharpen your hustle. It makes you prove to yourself that you can stand without a safety net. And when you build something without their help, no one can take credit but you. So let's do a quick barstool banter. And just like Whiskey Bar Wisdom, today I'm just going to be dropping some jewels on you.
Barstool Banter, brought to you by Buenos Dias Media, where great stories come to life. Welcome to Barstool Banter, the segment where your wildest, funniest, and most unforgettable stories take center stage. Whether it's that crazy night out with the guys, a hilarious encounter at the bar, a day out with the family, or an unforgettable moment with friends, we want to hear it all. Each week, we dive into your emails, share the best stories, and pick our favorite one, and who knows, maybe even win a prize. So grab a drink, light it up, pull up a stool, and let's get into some barstool banter.
All right, so let's lighten up this up for a second. Because I know some of y'all are sitting there heated like, yeah, man, my family member still owes me $40 and never bought my candles. Listen, the truth is your family ain't supposed to be your target audience anyway. You don't see Jay-Z out here asking Auntie to stream his album on repeat. You don't see Elon Musk begging his neighbors to buy Teslas. So why you mad? Your boy from high school didn't repost your flyer. He is not your customer. He's not in your lane. So just let that go, people. Save the stress. Save the energy. Put that into your craft, your brand, and your vision. So now I want to share with you some practical moves while we're sitting at this imaginary bar right here doing this, barstool banter. I just want to, just share some practical moves that we can do, right, to help us. And I hate saying number one because I feel like I have lists in every episode, but number one would be stop announcing every move. Don't broadcast your seeds. Just show your harvest. Find your tribe. Often, support often comes from people walking the same road. Other entrepreneurs, other dreamers, other hustlers. That's your community. You don't owe anyone loyalty just because you share DNA or history. Business is business. Energy is energy. And here's the kicker, my friends. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is being ignored by your own circle. Why? Because it forces you to build something undeniable that even they can't look away. And to finalize this episode, I want to drop some lessons for the masses here. Gentlemen and ladies, here's the grit. If you're going to chase a dream, build a business, or walk a path less traveled, you better get used to walking it without an applause. At least in the beginning. Your validation cannot come from family approval or friends reposting or who shows up to clap for you. Your validation has to come from that fire in your gut that says, I'm doing this because I'm built for it. And once you own that, once you stop expecting everyone to clap for you, that's when you really start to move differently. Because then every clap you do get feels like a bonus and not a necessity. I always tell my friends the same thing. I was like, I live with the lowest expectations from people possible. And why do I do that? Because when they do something nice for me, it's a surprise. It's a bonus. It's not something that I expected. So here's your call to action today, ladies and gentlemen. Stop chasing support. Start chasing excellence. Stop begging people to clap for you. Start building so loud that they can't ignore you. If you're grinding, keep grinding. If you're building, keep building. And remember, your tribe, your real tribe, is out there waiting for you. You just got to keep showing up until they find you. That's it for today's pour of Grit on the Rocks. If this hit home, do me a solid, people. Share the show. Subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble, subscribe, comment, give us that like. Share the show with a brother or a sister who needs it. Drop a review if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform. Because the more people we wake up, the stronger we all become. So until next time, keep your spirits high, your cigars lit, your glasses full, and your conversations meaningful. Until next time, this is Grit on the Rocks podcast, a Buenos Dias media production. Cheers.
Grit on the rocks tonight. Met with